I'm a beautiful spiritual divine being. I'm beyond time, beyond distance, beyond space. Immortality is my original consciousness. I'm an entity who is going to exist forever and ever and ever. I'm endowed with a creative inherent energy. I visualize and it happens. I visualize and it happens. That phenomenon quality, that mystical power, that majestic power is called as creation. I'm endowed with a creative inherent energy. What exactly is creation? Creation is directing the quantum field of energy and making the energy to behave as per our own will and our wish. Directing the quantum field of energy and making the energy to behave as per our will and wish is called as creation, creative inherent energy. I'm endowed with that beautiful creative inherent energy because I'm a beautiful God. I'm an entity who is going to exist forever and ever and ever. Yes. With this beautiful invocation, I invite each and every beautiful spiritual aspirant for this spiritual discourse. You're welcome. You're going to be enlightened. Today also, your brain is going to be nurtured with the grandest, beautiful spiritual knowledge. You're welcome, sir. Never ever forget that you're God's. Yes. So, in this beautiful episode, the title of today's concept is Brahma Nirvana Yoga. The title is Brahma Nirvana Yoga. Brahma Nirvana Yoga. Nirvana means pure, uncontaminated divinity. Pure, uncontaminated divinity. So Brahma Nirvana means the uncontaminated God. Uncontaminated God. That is the title of that. So in this beautiful chapter, Lord Sri Krishna is going to teach us about a beautiful status, a miraculous mystical state, which is called as Brahma Nirvana Yoga, which is called as 100% pure divinity. That is the crux of this teaching. My dear aspirants, this chapter comprises of 29 slokas. And the very first sloka is a question raised by Arjuna, seeking a clarification from his enlightened being. The grandest, beautiful, scholarly being, the enlightened being, the master teacher, Krishna, has begun to clarify the doubt raised by Arjuna. This is the introduction of this chapter. But I'm teaching you the very crux of this chapter. I'm teaching you the very nucleus of this chapter. Because unless you know the synopsis of this chapter in the beginning, you will not be able to understand the insight of the teachings of Lord Sri Krishna. So, the nucleus of this beautiful chapter is, one is yoga or karma yoga, which can be translated as unification or yoga. The other is sannyasam, renunciation. The other is renunciation. The important thing you have got to realize at this particular juncture itself is yoga is not literally getting unified with a alien, with a foreign, with a alien culture, with a different culture, with a new culture, with a foreign object. It's not like that. It is not like merging with totally alien concept. the thing is, in the unification or in the yoga or in the karma yoga, the first and foremost thing is you have got to realize that you are a beautiful God. The first and foremost thing is you have got to realize that you are a beautiful God. In the second phase, you have got to understand the magical, mystical, majestic, divine performances of that God. The mystical performances of that God. The magical performances of that God. You have got to have a comprehensive knowledge about the mystical, magical, majestic powers of the God. The third thing is, you have got to understand that you are endowed with that beautiful qualities. You are enriched with those beautiful, mystical, majestic powers. Endowed means जन्मतः. जन्मतः मुझ में वो दिव्य लक्षण उपस्थित है, वो शंकराभरण उपस्थित है. The fourth thing is, you have also got to understand that because of the limitations of the human brain, though the brain is endowed with unlimited power, only the limited power is being explored. So because of the limitations of the human brain, and because of the limited capacity of the sensory organs and the brain, they both are unable to substantiate the very existence of those divine qualities which are already inherent within us. Though they are with us, the brain and the sensory organs are not able to locate them. They both are not able to identify them. They both are not able to substantiate them. That is the thing. Realizing that I am a God, realizing that those qualities are already within me, that realization itself is called as yoga. The more and more you realize, the more and more you'll be able to explore those qualities, and one fine day you'll be able to utilize those qualities. In the sense, those qualities, they get activated. You began to explore them. You began to utilize them. The moment you began to utilize them, then from the human being's point of view, the miraculous performance, it can be termed as miraculous, majestic performance. That is the thing. That is the thing. So unification is not literally getting unified with a alien foreign quality. Okay? Some exotic quality. It's not an exotic quality. It is our original innate consciousness. That realization itself is unification. So literally we don't unify with any new thing. That is the crux of this teaching. Coming to the second part, the renunciation or to become renunciant. Renouncing or to become a renunciant. To become a renunciant, you need not literally renounce anything. You need not physically, literally discard anything. You need not physically, literally renounce anything. All the thing you have got to do is, right now, I am being occupied by certain tendencies. Right now, it happens, it appears that I am being occupied by certain tendencies. If you analyze these tendencies from my innate consciousness point of view, I have already realized that those qualities are not my original divine qualities. These are all tendencies. They are not my original consciousness. They have nothing to do with my original divine consciousness. Right now, I am being located in the physical embodiment. Right now, I am being captivated in a physical embodiment. Right now, I am playing the character of a human being. Maybe those tendencies are the tendencies of that embodiment. Maybe those tendencies are the tendencies of that particular character which I am playing. Consciousness, I do not have those tendencies. Character, maybe the character is having those tendencies. Though I am being occupied by those tendencies, though it appears as if the tendencies have very much occupied by me, very much occupied me, still when you realize very smartly that those tendencies have nothing to do with me, when you have realized that those tendencies have nothing to do with me, they only belong to the character I am playing, they only belong to the embodiment which I am wearing, that realization itself is renunciation. It is not literally renunciation. It is not literally renunciation. My dear aspirants, for a more clarification, I am just giving you one example. See, every spiritual being, he realizes that he is not the physical embodiment. It is only a realization. It is not literally cutting this embodiment into two pieces. Realizing itself is discarding. Realizing that I am not the embodiment itself is coming out of the clutches of the embodiment. See, why we are being locked in the cycle of reincarnation? Even literally, we discard the embodiment, but still we have a feeling that I am the embodiment. That feeling itself, that most unenlightened feeling itself, is the cause of reincarnation. That is why you are not able to come out of the clutches of this cycle. So literally you have discarded the embodiment, but still you are identifying yourself with the embodiment. That wrongful identification is the cause of reincarnations. So literally even though you discard the embodiment, it is of no use. So when you are in the embodiment, when you are embodied in the embodiment itself, when you have realized that you are not the embodiment, you are the consciousness. And these tendencies are not belonging to the consciousness. They are the tendencies of the embodiment. They are the tendencies of the character. That realization itself is renunciation. When you have realized it sufficiently, then you have become renunciant. That is the very crux of the teaching. The second point is, the second phase is coming to the aspirant termed as Arjuna, named as Arjuna. Arjuna is an aspirant, but he doesn't have any spiritual knowledge. He is not even forget about the mastery of spiritual knowledge. He is in the first grade itself. He has never ever tasted the elixir called spirituality. He has never ever tasted the nectar called spirituality. He is yet to enter into the spirituality. So naturally he is of opinion that Lord Sri Krishna, the grandest enlightened being, will suggest him to renounce everything, to renounce the kingdom, to renounce the duties of a king, and go to an alone place and do some practice. That was the expectation of the Arjuna from Sri Krishna. But the irony is, Krishna will never suggest that, has never suggested that. No enlightened being will suggest that type of stupidity. So Arjuna was literally expecting an answer from the Sri Krishna. That is the problem. What is the expectation of Arjuna? Arjuna was expecting that Sri Krishna would come and convince him, "Oh Arjuna, renounce your kingdom, renounce your society, renounce your family, go to a place and you have got to suffer the loneliness, you have got to suffer with celibacy." Celibacy means not participating in sex for the sake of spirituality is called as celibacy. You practice these rituals I am suggesting, no? I am suggesting some rituals. You have got to practice this. That was the answer he was expecting. But why Krishna, the grandest enlightened being, was opposing that nature? That is the thing. The very first sloka, Arjuna has requested Sri Krishna to give a clarification. I am reading the sloka, the first sloka of this chapter. The first sloka of this chapter. The first sloka of this beautiful fifth chapter is like this. Yes.
Sannyasam karmanam Krishna punaryogam cha shamsasi yachreya yetayo rekam tanme bruhi sunischitam.
So the insight of that beautiful sloka, I am not translator. I am not a translator. I am not translating that Sanskrit sloka into English. But the insight of that beautiful sloka, from my point of view, from my prism, from my perception or my interpretation is like this. Oh my beloved Krishna, Arjuna has requested Sri Krishna for a clarification. Arjuna has requested Sri Krishna for a clarification. Oh my beloved God, Krishna, in your preachings, sometimes you have preferred karma sannyasa and sometimes you have preferred karma yoga. I am a little bit confused to choose between these two options. So kindly suggest me the better and the right option which exactly suits my temperament or which exactly suits me. Suggest one beautiful practice which suits me. That is the question raised by Arjuna. And I tell you something about the second sloka. Second sloka, Krishna has replied like this.
Sannyasaha karma yogascha nishreyasakaravubhau tayostu karma sannyasat karma yogo visishyate.
The insight of that particular sloka is the grandest enlightened being, Krishna, has begun to clarify the confusion of Arjuna by uttering this phenomenon eloquence. He says, the so-called karma yoga and karma sannyasa both are grandest spiritual paths for enlightenment. But among these two, karma yoga is more grander, more smarter, more beautiful, like that. So, yes, if you read this sloka, it appears as if Lord Sri Krishna was of the opinion that there are two ritual or two practices or two paths for enlightenment. One is karma yoga, the second is karma sannyasa yoga. Both are the grandest paths. But if you want to choose between these two, if you want to select between these two, the best way out is, the best path is karma yoga. Okay, na? It appears like that. But Lord Sri Krishna is of not that opinion. He has realized that Arjuna is so confused, is suffering with a chaos. Is suffering with a chaos, confusion. So, he has also realized that Arjuna is not gearing up to the level of Sri Krishna. Arjuna is not gearing up to the level of teachings of Sri Krishna. So, realizing the inefficiency of the Arjuna, Krishna has all the way come down to the level of Arjuna, has come down from the pinnacle point, has come down all the way to the level of Arjuna, only to pacify him, only to console him. He just uttered these words. He has just told that, yes, karma yoga is more grander than karma sannyasa. Karma yoga is more grander than karma sannyasa yoga. But Sri Krishna is of not that opinion. Why? Because in sloka number 3 to sloka number 13, this grandest chapter can be arranged into two integral parts. One is sloka number 3 to 13. The other is 4 to 29. 14 to 29. 3 to 13 or 1 to 13. 14 to 29. From sloka number 3 to 13, what Lord Sri Krishna has done is strategically he has made Arjuna to understand the teachings of Lord Sri Krishna. Strategically he has taught beautiful teachings, grandest eloquence. So Krishna has sufficiently realized that Arjuna is not able to understand his insight. So understanding the inefficiency of Arjuna, Krishna has come down all the way from the pinnacle point to the level of Arjuna, only to pacify him, to console him. He has just, he said, okay, fine. Okay, fine. Yes, yoga is more grander than renunciation. Believe me, my dear aspirants, from the sloka number 3 to 13, every single sloka uttered by Sri Krishna is quite contra to sloka number 2. Then you will automatically understand that only to pacify, only to console Arjuna for a while, Krishna has uttered those words, those sentences. So from sloka number 3 to 13, only one thing will be there. Every sloka, every single word uttered by Lord Sri Krishna, what he will do is, he will try to convince Arjuna that there are no different paths. Unification itself is renunciation. Unification itself is renunciation. When you unify yourself with the divinity, naturally the tendencies of humanity, the tendencies of asura are going to get discard on their own, that itself. It is not, the crux of this beautiful chapter is, it is not literally unification, and it is not literally discarding the or renunciating the tendencies. Okay? Okay. Yes. So from sloka number 3 to 13, in the next episode we are going to learn. Namaskar. I wish you all the best, all the spiritual success. Namaskar. Jayastu. Yes.